So I'll be discussing the provision on the Corporation Code. Now we call it the Revised Corporation Code of the Philippines. Before plus the Revised Corporation Code, we have Batas Pambansa Bilang 68 that took effect on May 1, 1980. Now, on February 9, February 21, 2019, President Duterte signed into law RA 11232, which is now the Revised Corporation Code of the Philippines. As to the changes or feature, I will discuss them one by one after this video. So wait for that. Now for today, I'll be discussing what is the definition of a corporation code. A corporation, okay, I mean the definition of a corporation. A corporation is an artificial being created by operation of law, having the right of succession and the power, attributes, and property expressly authorized by law or incident to its existence. Under this definition, a corporation has four attributes. First, it is an artificial being. Second, it is created by operation of law. Third, it has the effect or the right of succession. It has the right of succession. And fourth class, it has the power, attributes, and properties authorized by law or incident to its existence. Now, the first question that will come into your mind is why corporation is considered as an artificial being. Well, if you look at the provision on the Civil Code of the Philippines, you will find in the provision of the Civil Code of the Philippines under now, why they said that a corporation is an artificial being? The term artificial being, as you look at the provision on the Civil Code, Chapter 3, Juridical Person, Article 44, the following are juridical person. One is the state and its political subdivision. Two is other corporation, institution, and entities for public interest or purposes created by law. Their personality begin as soon as they have been constituted according to law. And number three, corporation, partnership, and association for private interest or purpose to which the law grant a juridical personality separate and distinct from that of its shareholder, partner, or member. So, you look further. Article 45, juridical person, mention number 1 and 2 of the preceding article, are governed by the law creating or recognizing them. We are referring to those special corporation. Now, a private corporation are regulated by law, okay? Or general application on the subject. So, you know that the municipality or city of Manila, it has its own charter. And they have what we call a special law creating that corporation or municipality. Like the city of Dagupan, it has its own charter. And there is a special law creating it, such entity. Now, if you look further as to the provision on Section 46 of the Civil Code, juridical person may acquire, possess of all kinds, as well, possess property of all kinds, as well as it will incur obligation and bring civil or criminal action in conformity with the law and regulation of the organization. So, if you were asked, what is the meaning that a corporation is an artificial being? They are considered as artificial being by legal fiction of law and they possess that of a character of a natural person, where they are as if, okay, a natural individual. Why? Because they may acquire and possess property of all kind, as well as incur obligation and bring civil and criminal action. That's the first one as a legal consequence of an artificial being. Number two is that they have power to the property to convey or acquired by the said artificial being or corporation is in the law, the property of the corporation itself as a distinct legal entity and not that of the member or as such, okay, or stockholder as such. Number three, all contracts entered into in its name by its regular appointed officer and agent are the contract of the corporation and not of that of the member. A corporation cannot be held liable for personal indebtedness of stockholder even if he should be its president. Another is that a tax exemption granted to a corporation cannot be extended to include the dividend paid by said corporation to its stockholder if such dividends are not exempted from tax. And number five, a corporation has no personality to bring action for and in behalf of its stockholder or a member for purposes of recovering property which belong to the stockholders or member in their personal capacities. And number six class, as an entity distinct from its member or stockholder, a corporation remain unchanged and unaffected in its identity by changes in its individual membership. So as a consequence, since a corporation has its own personality separate and distinct from that of a stockholder, and we said that they are artificial being or it has an artificial personality. Now, if the corporation has its own personality, what will happen? Okay? What will happen if we look into the principle of disregarding corporate entity? Well, the doctrine of corporate entity or a person in law distinct from the person composing it is a legal theory introduced for purposes of convenience and to promote the end of justice. This fiction therefore cannot be extended to a point not within its reason and purpose. Being a mere creature of the law, a corporation may be allowed to exist only for lawful purposes, but where the fiction of corporate entity is being used as a cloak or cover for fraud or illegality, this fiction will be disregarded and the individual composing it will be treated as an identical or only one. This is sometimes referred to as the doctrine of piercing the veil of corporate entity or disregarding the fiction of corporate entity, as cited in the case of Republic versus Rason, okay, 20 Escra 234, and as decided also or cited in the case of Claparols versus Court of Industrial Relation. Now, in the following instances, okay, the corporate fiction has been pierced or has been disregarded. Okay? Because they were used as a means to commit fraud and injustice. Number one, where a corporation functioned for the benefit of a single individual. Okay? When that individual has a complete control over the fund and the said person is the sole owner thereof, then it only be the corporation is only be an alter ego of that corporation or that individual. Another is that where the corporation is a mere instrumentality of the individual stockholder. in this case, the obligation, okay, of that individuals, okay, answer for the latter must individually answer for the corporate obligation, or the individual stockholders shall answer the liability of the corporation. To hold the stockholder liable for the corporate obligation is not really to ignore the corporate separate entity, but merely to apply the established principle that such entity cannot be used for purposes that could not have been intended by law that created their separate personality. Now, another is that where a corporation is controlled by alien, its nationality shall be that of the controlling stockholder thereof during wartime for reason of national security. This is known as the control test, okay, determining the nationality of a private corporation. And number 4, class, when a corporation is organized by an insolvent debtor to defraud his creditor, and his transfer of property to it is in furtherance of fraudulent purpose. Let's go to number 5, where a subsidiary corporation or company is created by a parent company merely as an agency of the latter, especially if the stockholder or officer of the two corporation are substantially the same or their system of operation is unified. Then we have number 6, where a corporation is formed by a person for the purpose of evading his individual contract. And number 7, where a corporation is dissolved and its assets are transferred to another corporation to avoid financial liability of the first corporation to its employee, both firm being owned and controlled by the same person, with the result that the second corporation should be considered a continuation and a successor of the first entity. To make it clear in your mind, class, a corporation as an artificial being, okay, the stockholders or members of that corporation as well as the board of directors are under the umbrella of this what we call artificial being. If a corporation, for example, is a San Miguel Corporation, of course, it has stockholders, members, okay, and board of directors. And take note, what the law provides, the corporation can act only through its agent or representative. And we are talking about the board of directors who are duly authorized. So you will know that a corporation as an artificial being, like what I said, it has, okay, the ability to enter into a contract as if it is a natural person. It has the ability to possess. It has the ability to dispose its own property. It has the ability to incur obligation or indebtedness. As well, it has the ability to lend money to another entity. Now, since this is what we call an umbrella to that corporation, or a cloak, or a veil, class, this follow that if this umbrella protecting the corporation, if it is used for illegal purpose or unlawful purpose, can be disregarded in order to promote interests or public interests and to protect the general public against unscrupulous individuals who are forming corporations that are intended to commit fraud, injustice, okay, and evade liability, as well as their lawful obligation that they have entered into. So, that is the very essence of what we call a corporation is an artificial being. I repeat, this is only one of the attributes of a corporation, okay, which I am talking about is that a corporation as an artificial being. I believe that I made it clear in your mind that I repeat that a corporation is working under the umbrella of what we call artificial being.